Hey, Ronnie, what's going
Hey,
on,
Jake.
buddy?
Not much. How are you, sir?
Well, for those of you, this is week 8 on Into the Fire, live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I can see that we've already got 5 people that have tuned in. Super excited about this week. This is going to be the illustrious Detective Summer Benton from Atlanta, Georgia. She's probably one of the most recognized homicide detectives, at least female homicide detectives in the country. And so she's going to be she's going to be an incredible guest, honestly. For those of you that didn't see my message, we had Tad DiBiase, who is known as the No Body Guy. He's going to be on probably February 23rd, I think is what we're shooting for. So he will be on. He had a birthday gift to go watch the Washington Wizards or something like that. So he couldn't miss that. And of course, that's more important than this. So anyway, that's where we're at. What's going on with you? Anything going on? Ronnie? Okay, Ronnie's cut out. So it's just going to be me here for a quick minute. So anyway, just to let everybody know, Ronnie and I basically are starting out and we're starting to, this is week 8. So we have a lot of learning to do. There's certain things that I kind of get schooled on when we're not on here. Certain things like speaking too close to the mic where it pops, that kind of stuff. And they tell me don't speak too close. We've got Amanda there that sometimes Amanda is always, she's fixing problems behind the scenes and so forth. But hopefully we're not going to have any issues this week at all. I'm super excited. I've still been working my rear end off at work, etc. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start, since Ronnie's not available at this moment, we're just going to jump right into this and we're going to talk to Summer. I wanted to tell you a little bit about her. I know her. A lot of people ask us, hey, do you know any of the other detectives in the country? And yeah, I do. I know Summer. I message her periodically. She and I were actually supposed to go teach together in Missouri, and she's a crisis negotiator. So of course I'm going to have a soft spot for her. I was a crisis negotiator. I love that. And so believe it or not, I was reading through her bio here, and I'm going to read it to you. It's crazy the amount of similarities that she and I actually share. But Summer, she basically was hired by the Atlanta Police Department in 2001, and she became an instructor in 2006. I'm sorry about my dog, but of course, come here, get over here. Sorry. So she became a hostage negotiator in 2006. She made the rank of detective in 2007. And after serving undercover for 2 years, she actually transferred to the homicide unit in 2009, which is, I'd been talking to Summer just a few minutes ago, and I cannot believe the similarities as we go through here, because I actually joined homicide in August of 2009 myself. She became a senior instructor and she began teaching outside of the agency. And in 2019, she joined the Cold Complex Case Unit, which basically is your complicated, I think, well, really all cold cases are super complicated. That's why they're cold. But that, I guarantee you that these cases are even more difficult than the run-of-the-mill cold cases. But she went into that, and she still works within the homicide squad. She's going to talk a little bit about that because I'm interested. And then the other thing is that since 2020, she has specialized in child murders along with cold cases. And man, that's tough. So to work we don't do that here in Tulsa. We actually work, that goes to our child crisis unit. It just depends upon the case. But that just adds a whole nother layer of complex stuff I'm sure she has to deal with. As far as that goes, she's also a senior negotiator and team leader for the hostage negotiating team. This is the crazy part. She's got a bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in public safety leadership, and she's currently working on her PhD. And I don't have no idea what she's going to be doing later on, but I'm going to welcome Summer Benton onto the show. Come on in. Oh, actually, before we do that, hang on. I kind of got tripped up because Ronnie left me there for a minute. Let's show that video. You're back? All right. Well, I'm going to show this video right quick. So let's show this video that I caught on YouTube, which is excellent.
Being a female on a department, which is mostly men, we have to work twice as hard and do twice as much to show that we deserve to be in a position We have to run twice as hard. We have to punch twice as hard, and I understand the difference physically between a man and a woman, but we're just as smart, if not smarter than men. There are men that are just as smart, if not smarter than us. But I wanted to prove that, yeah, I'm a woman, I'm a female, I'm a cop, but I can do the job just as good as anybody else. And homicide is the best of the best when it comes to the detectives. And that was my goal, was to get to homicide. And I've been there quite some time now. It took me years to get there, But when you get there, then all of a sudden you're proud, but you're extremely nervous because you don't want to mess up. My first case was back in 2009 in August, and it originally came up as a triple homicide, and I had literally just gotten home. And I was like, oh no, triple homicide. They're going to give me this for my first case. Well, it ended up only being one homicide, and another person was shot multiple times, but they survived. And it was a drug deal in a house. So a lot of times you just got to say, okay, hold on, just sit back, take a breath. Where do we need to go from here? Let's go do it. I ended up arresting 2 different people. But I remember my first case. It was very overwhelming. Back then, I wasn't nearly as assertive as I am now. I wanted to learn from all of these minds that we had in homicide, because homicide was the best of the best. And I knew that if I didn't prove myself, I was going to be gone. And, this was my dream job. And so I remember, just trying to take what each and every person was telling me and take it all in and try not to disappoint. I was more worried about disappointing and not getting the case done than about myself.
Welcome, Summer. We want to welcome you to the show, and thank you very much for joining us. You're a modest person, I'm sure, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if there's a more recognized female homicide detective in this country, actually.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, maybe you know. I don't know. I know Caroline Mason's really somebody
she's
that
one of my favorites. I love Caroline.
Mine too. Her and Eunice Cooper, for sure.
Yes.
Yes, she was great. So this is really neat because you're the first, actually, this is your first technically like video interview on something like this kind of a format. So that's super exciting for us. This is like an exclusive first time with Summer here. And I'm just super excited because I love watching. I got to tell you this before I forget. My dad has just been going nuts over Summer Benton. How in the heck do I mean, it is constant. And then there's another guy in our unit, Detective Jeff Gatwood, that he's like, tell her that me and my wife, Maggie, we watch all the time. We love her. And so I had to tell you, because I mean, of course I probably got 15 other people, but I won't go into that. But you definitely have a ton of fans. And I think that they just really appreciate your tenacity.
Oh, thank you.
And another person,
Dad and your coworkers, I said hello.
I will. I love Tracy there too. Tracy Lewis with you guys. If she's still working homicide?
No, she's actually now over in child exploitation.
Oh, okay. Well,
she is really enjoying that position over there, but she's still one of our negotiators.
Okay, cool. I love her. I really do. I'm a super fan of hers. So as well. So tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up even getting on the department in Atlanta and why that all started.
So as you know, in 2001, I graduated with a business degree. I'm using it really well, as you can see. I graduated with a business degree from Georgia State, and we were in a recession, and not a lot of people were hiring. So I ended up working at Home Depot for a little while, trying to find permanent employment. And my dad called me. He's retired Atlanta police. And he called me and he said, "Hey, do you want to be a cop?" And I went, "Yeah." Never really thought, that I would be able to do that, because I was always this naive, gullible, stood in the back type person. And I was like, okay, this might be different. And was hired in 01, went through the academy, got sworn in 02. And let me tell you what, that was a tough academy. We have a really, really good academy, so, and that's basically because of my dad is how I became a police officer.
Yeah. And he was homicide as well. Robbery homicide. Is that?
Yeah, it was robbery homicide. So they took a robbery detective and a homicide detective because back in the 70s and 80s, most of your homicides were robbery related. So they had a robbery homicide division, and he was on the robbery side. And he would always tell me growing up, about homicides and his coworkers and just the team bond they had. And it hasn't changed much. The team bond is still there. The cases are still there.
Right.
I wouldn't change it for the world.
So you've been in homicide for approximately me and you started the same month, same year. So you've been there for 14 and a half years roughly. And when you got there, and I'm sure that there's some differences. When I watch Atlanta, and I've seen you guys, and we've talked a little bit about this previously other times, but when you got there, did you feel like they just kind of took you under their wing, and did you have like a field training officer, or how did they really integrate you into that system? I mean,
so when I got there, I was originally assigned to the overnight watch but that was disbanded shortly after. We just have now on-call detectives that go out overnight. So then I got moved to evening watch. And what I remember about my first case is that it was right there at the in between day watch and evening watch. And I remember the whole unit came out, even though day watch could have left. They knew it was my first case. They said, nope, we're going to make sure you don't fail. And so they came out, and I was just learning on the job. I mean, yes, I had been in training for 6 weeks in homicide, for 6 or 7 weeks before they finally let me take my own case. But I had the detectives there. They were training me while I was doing it, and I was learning so many different things from so many different detectives. And even as I went on to my more cases, still being the rookie in homicide, they still were there, helping me out. Making sure that I did cross my T's, dot my I's, that we didn't mess anything up. So when it come to court time.
right.
What was the process after you got out of the academy to just do your career? How long, what did you do to kind of prepare to get into homicide and the experience you had?
So I got out of the academy and I was on a bicycle, and I wasn't very happy about that. And I remember my dad laughing really, really, for like months. He just kept laughing because he knew how much I hated bicycles, because I'm just the most ungraceful bicyclist in the world. So he thought it was the best thing since sliced bread that I was getting put on a machine that I basically, was like, this is not cool. I'm going to break my neck. Even though I'd been through the class and I was certified in the academy, I did not want to do that. So I went through, and I was on the street for about a year. And then I got pulled to do undercover work, vice, not homicide, but narcotics. And then I came back and started handling 911 calls, which was just awesome. 911 it's an experience because you never know what you're going to have. Every call is different. And then after 5 years on the street, I took the investigator's exam and passed, and I went back to narcotics. And I spent 2 years undercover in narcotics before I came to homicide. And the one thing I remember is that the veterans in narcotics were friends with the people in homicide. And so the way they did their case files was very similar to homicide. Now, homicide, granted, is a lot more in depth, but at least I had that going into it. And then when I came to homicide, you're training with all these veteran homicide detectives. And as you guys well know, everybody's different. You can learn something from this detective and learn something totally different from this detective. And this detective may want to do it this way, and this detective does it that way. You just have to figure out what works for you. But,
right.
Doing the vice, doing the narcotics. And then I went to what we call our major crimes unit, major response unit, which is our overnight. I went to that to where all I did was handle crime scenes constantly to learn how to do crime scenes before I got to homicide. So that was really cool.
Do you guys work your own crime scenes actually? I mean, as far as like as a homicide detective, do you guys actually have to process not that if you're the lead, I'm sure you're not doing the scene, but do you guys literally have to process the scenes as well?
So we have our own crime scene technicians. They're civilians, and they come out and meet us. And of course, whoever's the lead will ask somebody, hey, can you take control of the scene? And they will take control of the scene, and they will advise our crime scene technicians, they'll walk them through the scene, crime scene technicians will look, the detectives will look, find the evidence, mark it, and photograph it. But I'm pretty anal about my scenes. I think a lot of veteran homicide detectives are. I like things to be in a way that when I get on the stand and I explain it, the jury can understand it. So I like for everything to be in numerical order. I don't want like number 1 here and then number 27 and then number 2 is half a mile down the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it drives me crazy too.
Right.
You said something that's really, it drives me nuts. So, hey, you said something that's kind of interesting to me. You said you have to take a investigator exam. What's that all? What's that entail?
So technically it's a promotion. So you have to take a written exam. And then if you pass the written exam, then you go onto the oral boards. It's just like getting promoted to sergeant and lieutenant. And then you're ranked based on your grades. You're ranked, and that's how you get promoted off the list.
I like that. Hint to Tulsa, man. Maybe we need to do that.
Now, do you guys just have detectives, or do you have detective sergeants, or?
We've got detective sergeants, detective lieutenants, and then we also, so we just have detectives. I mean, I am a slick sleeve. I am no different as far as paid. I mean, actually, I've got one stripe like you do, Summer. I don't know what your one stripe. Would you have one stripe, or do you have? Okay,
Just
so
one.
I have one stripe too, and
Yep.
that means that I'm a field training officer.
Okay.
But as far as I'm paid the same as any other detective or any other officer out there on the streets. So that's just kind of how that works.
We have the officers, and then we have the senior police officers, and the senior police officers are a lateral position to the detectives. So you can either go and take the test for senior patrol officer, or you can take the test for detective. And so I chose detective route, and I took that test. And so we're a step up in rank from a regular officer on the street. But our senior patrol officers are our field training officers.
Okay.
They're the ones that when the officers come out of the academy, they're paired with the senior patrol officers for training.
And do you guys have partners? And if so, I mean, do you guys have your normal partner, or do you just kind of go on a rotation and it just whoever?
It's basically whoever's available. But I'll be honest with you, I've been blessed. My partner of the last 13 years, his name's Detective Jay Thorpe Jr. He retired on Wednesday. He did his full 30 and he retired. Now he's going to recapture and come back at the end of March. But we work a lot of our cases together. But if one of us is not available, we of course if we need to go out on the street or something, we'll just grab another detective. What about y'all?
No, we don't have partners. I've been advocating for it for years. And actually Ronnie, that's look, he might've got cut off again, but I think he did. But Ronnie, there he is. He's back. Ronnie and I.
Ronnie, you haven't
you're
fun
back.
there with your internet.
So I'm just going to stay on my phone now. So
Okay, right on. I don't know what the heck's going on over there, but you're about ready to get fired. You're on probation. No, I'm just messing with you.
We're on probation.
No, seriously. So Ronnie and I have known each other forever. And when he came into the unit, we just clicked. But I've been pushing for partners for years, and I keep getting the no. Because they don't want that. They want it, basically it just doesn't flow that way. There's always somebody going out of town or whatever the heck is going on. So we have to, and as well as I do, how many detectives you got? Like 20 something?
We have 22 detectives, I believe.
Yeah, we've got 10. We have 10. And so we just don't work that way. Basically when you're, one thing I do like though, is once you get a murder, you go to the bottom of the list.
Yes.
And then you we did that thing where we had 2 different shifts, and we loved it. We really did. We had 2 different crews, and we loved working with our crew. But what was nice about that is that you knew you were not on call on certain days. You could go live a life. And so now you may be up theoretically. You could theoretically be up for a month, which just sucks. Yeah. And then and now, so I'm up to back right now. But so I'm the designated backer, and that's just kind of how it rolls. And you just hope that it's somebody that you mesh well with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the designated backer.
did we really click right when we first started working together? Was after we went to one of those DOAs and you made me do something?
Well, I had a training philosophy. So here's kind of how this goes. When I came into the unit, honestly, Summer, I got a murder in like 2 weeks, and it was a gangster murder, a gang related murder. And those are like the worst ever. You know what I mean? I'd almost rather have No, nobody wants to talk. They're horrible. It was a high profile thing because this kid was gunned down getting off the school bus, which wasn't incredibly accurate. It was more like he'd walk down the street a little bit, but the way they made it sound, it was like right off the school bus, and it was nuts. And I remember there was kids everywhere. I'm trying to talk to as many kids as I possibly could before their parents whisked them away, and I know nothing. And while that was going on, I remember my backer showing up. I've only been in Homicide like 2 weeks, and I remember, I know it's crazy. And so I remember my backer rolling up there, and he goes, "Hey, what do you need?" And I'm like, "I don't know what I need. I don't even know what I'm doing. I need some help. Come on, man." And so it was just nuts. And that case ended up being open for like 3 years. It was stupid. And but anyway, nevertheless, it was just a miserable experience. And you'd said something in that video. You said that you were really worried that if you didn't prove yourself, you were going to be done. And I felt the same way. Yeah. I felt like I was going to be a one and done. I remember my boss coming up there going, "Where are we at on this? And where are we at on that?" And he was like, "You look like you got the deer in the headlights look." And I literally, I think I teared up. I thought I've been wanting to do this since I was a little kid, and this is going to be over with, like that. And fortunately I've been around as long as I have. But so you guys, so you do all of that stuff. And then how many murders have you probably worked in that time frame that you've been the lead on?
That I've been the lead on? Probably over 150.
That's in a whole nother world, Summer. That's I can't even believe it. All right.
Yeah.
So I've hit 108. And I thought that was something. 150. My goodness.
Yeah, because there's some years where you'll get, 7, 8 to your name. And then there's other years, like last year I got 23.
23.
So, yeah. So it just depends on the year and how busy we are and vacations, because the summertime seems to be the busiest, but that's also the time that a lot of people want to take vacation. So you and Ronnie, jump in there at any time, but basically you guys were on the first 48. You were on there. I think you guys joined the first 48 the year before we started with them. I think it was you guys, and then it was in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, and then us. And we're still on there. We're still filming here, etc. What was that experience like for you guys? And not only have you done that, you've done a couple of other shows, I think. But what was that? Prior, I was on Women of Homicide. They did me and 2 detectives in Cincinnati, where they would come and follow us. And it was me and my partner Otts at the time. And it took some getting used to having a camera follow you around and then ask you questions while you're doing stuff. That took some getting used to. And then after a year of that, I was very thankful that the first 48 came in and wanted to film everybody. I was like, "Oh, thank you. Please have fun, y'all, enjoy this." So they came in, and then they started to realize, you're sitting there, you're typing, and you've got this camera right here. And they're like, "Hello." And they're like, "Don't look at the camera." I'm like, okay. But I have to admit that the cameramen and women that came in, they made it so easy and so basically just like an everyday thing for us. They made it seamless. And now you walk down the street and people are like, "Hey, those are the people on the first 48." And I want to talk. I want to talk. Are you filming? And they start looking around to see if they're going to be on camera. It was fun for me, because you got to really interact with more people on the street because of the show. And even now, like just yesterday, I was at work and my partner and I stopped at a restaurant, and I walked in to order something to go. And a lady comes running up to me. She's like, "Are you the detective on the first 48? I went, "Mm-hmm." She goes, "Can you come say hi to my friends?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So
isn't it fun?
Yeah. And I'm like, "Do y'all have any information on homicides?"
Yeah, I do the same thing for sure.
So when people have asked me that similar question all the time, and I tell them, at one point it was weird if they weren't there. Did you experience that? And because you would look around and be like, hey, where's so-and-so? Where's so-and-so? We're going to go do this. And it was just weird if they weren't there.
I think when they left, because we did 5 years, and then we left, it was very quiet. It was eerily quiet in the office because we were so used to having them in there and talking our thoughts out loud.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying when they were there, if they happened to be over at their desk or someone wasn't right there and we got some information and we were getting ready to go do something, you went and tried to find them because it was part of the point.
Yeah, and now it's so I guess the first couple of weeks after they left, it was a little weird because they had been there for 5 years, and we're like,
like sad because like part of the family has just left. I mean, they do become kind of part of the family, honestly.
They do, and I think one of our camera ladies came to you guys, Beth.
Oh yeah, we've had Beth forever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was with us forever. Gosh, she was so awesome.
Yeah. And we've had that's what people don't realize is there's a lot of that interchanging between camera people and those camera people, like Beth, for an example. I mean, she's filmed on Deadliest Catch and Naked and Afraid and things like that. So I was always going, well, I would ask, hey, what are they like in Atlanta? What's it like working with them? Because I want to know. First of all, those camera people, sometimes, I mean, I'm not beyond going, hey, am I missing anything? What do you think? I mean, and because, I mean, they've seen in some instances, and I don't think you've ever met Mikey G, but in some instances, some of those camera people have worked more murders than the guy that's backing you. You know what I mean?
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. They've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. So actually, I think Mikey G is one of our camera guys. He came from New Orleans and Cleveland, and the guy's just a wealth of. I mean, the guy's been around so many murders, it's crazy. So, but anyway, so it's actually a good experience. It has been for us anyway, and so from there, when they left, did you do any other shows, or was there anything else that kind of came through?
No,
Atlanta?
I think See No Evil came once. Because they're one of those you do one episode and you're done. They wanted to interview about that. And I had a case last year that I got a conviction on, and a lot of shows have been asking about that particular case because it's a no body case. So I don't know if First 48's ever coming back or requested to come back. I'm not 100% sure because that's well above my pay grade.
Right. So you'd mentioned something earlier. Is there any possibility that they may come back, or is that?
I don't know. We would love to. Probably, I'm sure some of the detectives would love to see them again. To have them come back. But that's definitely going to be a decision, I believe, made by the uppers.
Yeah.
Did you
Whatever
guys
city government.
First 48.
I'm sorry.
Did you guys ever have the after First 48 people there?
We did for a couple of episodes. They would come in, and I remember the last time they came and interviewed me, I think my hair was like right here, and they were like, "Oh my God, you cut your hair." I was like, "Yeah." I said I was allowed to because when they were filming, they used to say, "Don't cut your hair because we may have to come back, and do that redo and." If you cut your hair, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I can relate, Summer. It's kind of like the times when I've gained like 40 pounds, and it's like, okay, yeah, as if they're never going to notice. Come on.
Well, my hair is all the way down to my waist, so it was one time that I really wanted to just cut it, just because I've always had long hair, and I was just like, I really just want to see what it's like to have shorter hair, and they're like, no. It's like, okay. I won't, I promise. And as soon as they left, I went, shop.
Because a lot of people don't realize I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but I know for us, STCs, which are called scenes to come, which are like, hey, are you sure you didn't get this audio? Or I called them WTFs. I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yes.
that I got to read it.
Funny.
Because you would notice them, right? You notice them. And what it is basically if the audio wasn't very good or something, and you had to redo this or that, or go drive in the basement or whatever, something.
Do they bribe you?
In what way?
They used to bribe me with Diet Coke. They'd bring me a 6-pack of Diet Coke and go, can you do these for me? I'm like, put them in my fridge.
No, but you've given me a great idea.
where they'd bring me like a box of Pop-Tarts. I'm like, okay, you're good now.
All right.
I'll go do them. What do you need?
Nice. Was it for the most part? I mean, was everybody pretty much cool with it as far as the detectives in the office?
I think 75%, 80% of the detectives really liked doing the show. You know, we had just a very small number of detectives who just preferred to stay off camera. And everybody was fine with that. And
Yeah.
Joe was fine with that. And, you know, you'd see him every now and then in the background, like Detective Thorpe, my partner. He's not a big camera person. So you'd see him in the background a lot, but you would never actually see an episode that was just his.
Yeah.
But
Any
he's probably
possibility-
one of the smartest detectives I've ever worked with.
Really? Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah,
got
that
some,
man could
you
get-
got some all-stars there, really.
Oh, yeah, we've got Leon Packer, who, let me
Yeah.
tell you what, that is
Like a phone guy. He's the phone guy, isn't he?
phone guy. You say, hey, I need your help with this. And he's like, I mean, computer genius, you know, phone guru. He's our phone subject matter expert, which he has been certified numerous times in court as an expert. He does the phones. Thorpe can get anybody to talk in an interview. He just sits down with them. And it's just like, I don't know if he just gives them a certain look. I don't know what he is able to do. Then all of a sudden they're just giving their life story. And I'm like, man.
You talked about when you first went there, how everyone was helping out with you and stuff. Is that a thing that happens on every case? Because I know a lot of people ask about Tulsa, and we've probably talked about this every week, but people are always talking about Tulsa's clearance rate. And the honest answer I always give is we just work as a team, and like everybody just jumps on and does whatever needs done. And it's not, oh, I did this or I did that. It's, hey, we got to solve this case. Do you guys have that?
Yeah.
Or,
Oh yeah, if like a case comes up on, because I'm on day watch, so which is the 7, 8 a.m. and past shift. If a case comes up while whoever's on duty, we all go out, so, and we all decide who's doing the scene, who's going to do the door-to-door knocks and knock and talks. So see if anybody has any camera footage or heard anything or seen anything. Who's going to. We're all there to help that lead detective.
Yes.
And then we compile everything and send it to them, to make sure they have everything. So yeah, we work groups just like you guys do, and I think if it was one detective going out, there's going to be so many things that are going to get missed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
And that's why it's good to have a really good group to work with.
Yeah. You'd said something just real quick. You said a no body case. Is this your first no body case?
That was my first no body case. Yeah. Happened in 2020. And I went to trial last year.
It? Oh, you did? Were you guys successful?
We did. We got a conviction and he's serving life without the possibility of parole.
Nice. And still no body.
Still no body. We're still looking for her, but we've been able to show through so much evidence that he did actually kill her and he did dispose of her body.
Super complicated cases just for the listener. I mean, it's not necessarily, it's just tough. I mean, because you have prosecutors that are just so scared to even try it. So that's really the main problem, I think.
Let me tell you what, the prosecutor, Adam Abate, he's a Fulton County Assistant District Attorney. I think he's a deputy director now. And he did an amazing job on that prosecution.
Yeah, I had one of those as well. And I'll tell you what, it was a 2002 cold case, and it was a no body deal. And I remember going to the family going, hey, listen, are you willing to swing the bat on this? Because we may never be able to do this again, but it's never going to get any better. And they were like, absolutely, let's roll with it. And we did. And fortunately for us, we were also successful. So,
awesome.
And actually, I think there's like an 80, I think, Tad DiBiase, the guy that I'm going to have on in a few weeks, I think it's like 87% success rate on no body cases, which is extraordinary. But there's only been like 500 in the country's history, which is that have actually been tried. So it's pretty rare, super rare.
That's interesting.
So that's really neat that you've been able to do one of those. So let me ask you just real quick. Now, so from there, you have went to complex cold cases with a child emphasis, I guess.
Yes.
And now, is that kind of like you've elevated? I mean,
so our cold complex case unit is our most veteran homicide detectives. So what whoever's the most veteran, of course, goes to the unit, but that depends on, if you even want to go to that unit. Some veterans are like, no, I'll stick with the regular everyday homicides. I don't want to have to handle something that happened 20 years ago. And our complex, the style of complex that we're talking about is, let's say we have a homicide and then we have 3 aggravated assaults and we have 4, vehicle larcenies and 2 robberies that have all been tied together through ballistics or DNA or whatever. That's where we come in and we take every single one of those cases and put them together as one. Because they're so complex in detail and there's so many different crimes and so many different locations, our unit handles that.
And you don't have to deal with fresh murders. Is that
No,
correct?
we still deal with fresh murders.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find out what the incentive of this is. All right, so you're doing.
That's a great question. Currently, there's 2 of us that are no longer, myself and Detective Demeester. We're not currently in the rotation, catching fresh cases.
Okay.
But that started in January of this year. We were out of the rotation last year around the beginning of the year, but then of course as murders got higher and higher, once summer months come, we got put back in to help alleviate some of the stress on the other detectives. And that was also Detective Leon Packer coming back in and Detective Thorpe. But because our most veteran was Detective Thorpe, I'm now the most veteran detective in homicide. And then you have Demeester, Leon Packer, and Detective Shepard. And we were all on that unit, but we got all put back in. And I think they're gradually going to take us back out, but they started with just me and Demeester because we're the 2 most veteran.
With no plans of leaving, right? You're sticking around in homicide for.
Yes, most likely I'll stay in homicide. Haven't quite decided if I'm going to take the sergeant's exam. Haven't been on the streets in 17 years, and we don't have a detective sergeant rank, so I would have to go back to the streets probably with Tuesday, Wednesdays off. Morning watch.
Yeah. I would think that they would pull you back in at some point in time to some detective spot.
Probably, but you gotta go back and you gotta go on the streets and you work that and.
As far as those cold cases, is it you're not dealing with a fresh murder? Are you just looking into anything, or is there something specific that triggers you having to deal with a certain case, or how?
So last year, the state enacted the Coleman-Baker Act, which means that if someone calls in and states that their family member was killed in whatever year, and it's considered a cold case, and they've requested that it be reopened, we have to respond within a certain amount of time saying, we've had a detective look at this case. No, there's no way that we have any leads, or we can't go any further with it right now unless another lead comes in. Or, there's all these grants nowadays for DNA testing. I don't know how you guys are doing it. Like our district attorney's office has got now a grant that we can go back and maybe test some of these cold cases with the new technology, the new DNA. So unless somebody calls in and tells us, hey, I want my loved one's case reopened, or unless somebody calls in saying they've got information on a murder, that's how those cases get looked into with a fresh set of eyes. Yeah. How are you guys doing it?
Our cold case, the cases are there. There's no real, and Jason has griped about this for years. There's no, I would say, proper process. Like if a detective retires or gets promoted or leaves on their own, gets kicked out of the unit, there's no system to take those to cold case. But the guy who's there now, I mean, if he gets a tip, then yeah, obviously he lets.
I'm sorry, you said the guy, like you have one person?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, now listen. Well, all right. Let me give you, we have 300 cases. We have approximately 300 cases in our cold case room that date back to 1968. Okay. So
that's it.
Yeah, because Summer, we solved 96% of these cases. You know this.
Nice show off.
That's just since 2016. So let's just be fair here. But since
the guru. Okay, gotcha.
Well, since 1963, we've solved about 87% of the cases. Okay. But even then, we still only have that one guy, which I'm telling you, we've been on a manning shortage since forever. I've never known us not to be on a shortage. Have you, Ronnie?
No, not. I mean,
No.
2000 when I started, there's been one.
No, I agree. I think every department is suffering. Every department is
Yeah.
having trouble recruiting. They're having
Yep.
trouble keeping personnel.
But I will tell you this: we did get a grant. We got a grant that requires us to have a second person in there, and so we're looking at doing that. And I've even volunteered. Listen, I've had this carrot dangled in front of my face for years, but I even said, I said, I'll make a deal with the devil. And now that you're already doing this, I'm like, I don't know that I can really say that they don't do that elsewhere, but I was like, listen, I'll still take fresh cases. I'll still back people, and I'll still train people. I'll do whatever I've got to do. The only thing I ask is I don't want any of those extra, I don't want assaults. And sometimes we get assigned assaults and shootings if death is probable. You know what I mean? It's
that
really
makes
serious.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if we get to the main hospital here is Grady
Right.
Hospital.
Yeah,
let me
and
tell
we
you
get
what.
suicides too. We work suicides too.
Oh,
So
we
those,
do too.
yeah,
We do too.
and those
We
could be
have a
super.
detective assigned as a lead. Whoever at the top
Yeah.
of the rotation of suicide comes up, they get assigned.
Yeah,
But yeah, if it wasn't for our Trauma One Center, I'm afraid to see what our homicide numbers would be.
I'm with you on that.
I will say that here, when did they create the crime gun unit, Jason? Probably 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. There's a unit
that's been heaven.
that
Yeah,
they take the vast majority of shootings that aren't going to be a death
And what's the unit called again?
crime gun.
Crime gun?
Yeah, it's anything that's gun-related crimes for the
Okay.
most part. And then if it was a gun-related crime and the person's not dead yet, but it's gang-related, then it should go to the gang unit. That's what our hope is. But if the guy's been shot 6 times, I mean, we're probably going to be involved at some point.
Yeah.
It's almost better just to start with it from the start, as opposed to getting stuff from somebody else that's already done this or whatever, that kind of a deal. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, we have an ag assault unit. So all ag assaults go straight to that unit. And that is basically like a unit that you would want to work at, or the robbery unit, before you come to homicide. But if it is something where the doctors are saying they're probably not going to survive the night, we go ahead and start working it as a homicide detective. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I came from crime scene. I'm kind of one of those, and Ronnie came from narcotics. He worked narcotics forever. I came from crime scene, which that's kind of a rare channel to get into homicide in our department. You would think it'd be, oh yeah, it makes sense. This guy's worked crime scenes. He's been around. We know him, but it's super rare. They actually like getting people from robbery. I think that's more wouldn't you agree, Ronnie? That's kind of the more.
Seems like the vast majority of people, I think, since I came in 2012, have came through robbery. I don't know of anybody who didn't come through robbery since I did, because when I came from SID, our narcotics stuff.
Yeah. So what's your advice to I mean, you're just not inspirational to women detectives. You should be. I mean, you should consider yourself you're an inspiration to me. I was a fan of your work. I was a fan of Atlanta. I'm a fan of a lot of the detectives in various cities. And so for you, what would be your advice to somebody? Number one, why should they come to Atlanta PD? Because I'm sure you guys are looking for people. Mm-hmm. And if they ever get there, I mean, is there a good chance that one day they could possibly get to homicide, or what would be your advice to somebody if they wanted to follow in your footsteps?
I think one of the great things about Atlanta PD is we are extremely diverse. We come from a city that there are so many different types of people. And we, like any other, I'm sure Tulsa's the same, we're a huge family. We take care of our own, and we take care of our own families as well. But people come into Atlanta, we want people who want to help people, and if this is something that you want to do, we need your help. And once you do become a police officer, yes, there is a strong possibility that you can get to homicide. And once you're there as an officer, if any officer has ever come up to me and said, hey, I want to eventually make it to homicide, I'll say, here's my number. Call me.
Yeah.
I'll help you out with the investigator's test, or if you have questions about a crime scene, give me a call. I'll answer what I can, from what you're telling me. But I couldn't ask to be a better part of a better department. This has been a wild ride, and 22 and a half years with the same department. It's had its up and downs like any department or any private sector industry. You're going to have your, good days and your bad days, but I've had a lot more good days lately than bad days. And I absolutely love this department. The chief and the assistant chief and our deputy chiefs, I have to admit, they are awesome. They are really truly here and they know your name. They know, they ask you when they come down and they see you, what do you need? When they've actively listened to you, which is something that we didn't have when I first came on the department. There were many times where you would pass a deputy chief or a chief and they didn't know who you were. But the administration that we have in the last couple of years, they've really dug down and really, wanted to get to know their people. And they want to make sure that we are not only physically capable to do the job, but also emotionally and mentally able to do the job. And they really want to take care of us. And that's what I really do love about this department.
When you got on that, when you applied for homicide, because you applied for, is that how you do it? You specifically apply for homicide. So when you did that, think back, because it was 14 and a half years ago. How many people applied for that same spot compared to now?
So is there a difference? I applied actually 16 years ago. Okay. It was a 2-year waiting list to get the homicide. And so it was a very long list to get there. And it wasn't a ranking or anything. It was just, okay, you did really well in the interviews when you went. So we're going to go ahead and put you on the list to eventually have you come over. And it took about 2 years to come over. Now we're lucky if we have 2 people that want to come to homicide, because
that's what I was getting at. Yep.
Yeah. Because we do a lot more hours in the office working than most other units. We're on call a lot. And you're going to get paid the same across the board, and a lot of people now are like, well, why do I want to stress this out and stress my family out, working 60 hours a week? But to be honest with you, I love it.
And I think some of that's generation. I think some of it's generational too. I really do.
I agree.
So when I first went up, let's just put it this way. When I first applied for rejection, because I didn't get it the first 2 times, and so when I first would apply, when I first went up and I applied, I applied and I didn't get it. There was like 9 or 10 people or 11 people that applied. And now, of course, and I did get it, and it actually helped my ego, because when I finally made it, it was up against about 9 people. But nowadays, they might have one guy that you're just kind of like, okay, this guy will work. Or, I'm of the mindset that if this guy's not going to fit, here's my thing. I don't care what people look like on paper. I look at trainability and chemistry. Yeah. If the guy is a team player, and he's somebody that I don't want this. Yeah. I got it. I know. I don't want to hear that. I want somebody that really wants to be there, that doesn't know it all, and that has the ability to shut up and listen. And that, to go back to what Ronnie said earlier, what did we do? I took you out to go help an Emmy investigator move a body out of a cramped bathroom, and I let you experience that because you needed to.
It wasn't just a body
that had been there a while, by the way. Do what?
It wasn't just a body in a cramped bathroom. It was a huge body in a cramped bathroom that had been there for a very long time.
Oh, it's decomposing.
But what?
Oh yeah, of course.
What did I do?
He did it, and that's what I loved about him, is he did that, and I stood outside on the balcony to make sure if anybody showed up to show them where we were at. But
you mean to make sure that the smell didn't get into your clothing? That's why you're on the balcony.
But I got to tell you, Ronnie was a great sport about it, and that's what I'm talking about. People, that's what I want to see when there's a brand new person in there. Oh, we just had this happen recently. When there's a skull that was found or something, Ronnie and I used to we'd be out there on the streets rolling around or whatever, and they put out a dead body call. We would just show up. I mean, I wanted to talk to the crime scene people. Hey, what are you looking at here? What is this? What's that? Why do they have this going on? Why? Oh, that's purge. If you don't go out there, I think that you have this mindset, not all the time, but I think in some instances you get some of these people that come in there brand new. And it's like they think just because they have the title that you're all knowing, and you're far from it. I mean, as a uniform to doing this for a living, you're going to be asked, all right, what are you looking at here? And you need to make sure you know what's up, because I mean, you don't want to miss a suicide, or you don't want to miss a murder that could be, oh yeah, this is a suicide kind of a deal. And I'm sure that some of those slip through the cracks. It's possible. So I don't know. I just think you said something a minute ago that I really, really loved. And I love the fact when I used to go up to Homicide, I can remember going, hey, what do I need to do to be able to get into this unit? And I remember the guys going, oh, no, you're great. Don't worry about it. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me the roadmap of how to get here, And what you said, I loved because you were like, hey, here's my number. Give me a call. Ronnie and I were both like that. Give me your number. We'll help you. I mean, we'll give you the roadmap on how to get here if this is really what you want. And I wish there was more of that. I really do. Yeah. I mean, there's certain people that are willing to do that. I've always kind of felt like there should be like a mentor, that when a brand spanking new detective comes into that unit, that somebody is assigned, that they get assigned the brand new guy, and that takes him under their wing and shows him the ropes. And there should be more of that. But I love that you kind of were doing that, because I even tell them in the academy, I'm like, hey, listen, if you see me out on a death scene, because I teach the death stuff at the academy, I'm like, hey, if you want to walk through the scene, just grab me. I'll be happy to do that. That's what we want. We want you to learn, etc. But I really, really love that. So,
but I also tell them when I'm teaching at the academy, I'm not there to be your best friend. When I get to the scene, if you want to learn, yes, let's go and learn, but don't come and high five me and want to crack jokes with me.
No, none of that. And that reminds me of one quick thing I want to get in here before we end up here. You are a negotiator, and I was too. That has got to be incredibly, I'm not going to say stressful, but I know for me, it was a challenge, because I've never worked for a supervisor that embraced that work. When I worked in Homicide, I just don't think they were super excited going, oh, Jason's gone at training today. Oh, Jason's out on a call out. That's great. It wasn't really like that. So
when I first got to Homicide, they weren't too keen on it, but they couldn't really say anything because there was another veteran detective who was also a negotiator. But I'd say the last 10 years or so, they've had no issues with it. They know that I have training a certain number of days. I'm going to get called out, but I'm still going to come in and do my job. Yeah. So, that's awesome. But you're right. It's very stressful to be called out at 3:00 in the morning, sitting 6 hours on a barricaded gunman, coming home, taking a shower, and then going and doing Homicide.
Hey, Amanda, throw up her Twitter. This is going to be Summer Benton's Twitter, and feel free to follow her. I put something out one time, and I think her Twitter followers jumped up like
they sure did.
People, which
but you're awesome. A lot more popular than I am.
No, you're super popular. Believe me, I love it. The fact that I consider you like a friend. You're my connection out in Georgia.
Yes.
So I'm going to send you some stuff. I'm going to send you a Homicide booklet too, that maybe you guys can adopt that idea. We've got to get off here. Ronnie, you got any last thoughts?
I just appreciate you being on here, and sorry for the technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on with my internet.
Oh no, I'm just very impressed that my dog has passed out on the floor and hasn't barked this entire time.
Listen, Summer, I can't thank you enough for being on here. I think this is going to get a ton of views, and I appreciate it very much. Who knows, if you have something really cool coming up in the future, feel free to reach out to me and we'll have you back on.
Absolutely.
And I loved it. I really did. I think this is, oh, are you kidding? You're the number one person out of the whole crew of the first 48 that I wanted to have come on here. So literally, as far as our guest next week, I don't really know who it's going to be just yet. I've got to kind of arrange a few things, but we'll figure it out, and I will put something out in the next day or two. And as far as it goes from this show, I think we're going to have to say goodbye. I think we're ran out of time. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks, Summer.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Bye.